I'm kind of shocked that it happened, if I'm honest with you. I don't know why I am, but I am. Ricky Steamboat's going to come out in what would have been the third match on the card and announce that he's unable to wrestle due to a back injury. And Nick Bockwinkel, who's the on-air commissioner for WCW at the time, he's going to award the United States title to Steve Austin, and they're going to trade words, I guess, to maybe set up a possible Steamboat return. But then Bockwinkel tells Austin he has to defend the title that night. And all of a sudden, Jim Duggan comes out. Austin wants to leave. Bockwinkel's going to push him. Duggan backdrops Austin, splashes him, and 35 seconds later wins the title. So you've got what's about to be the biggest star in the business. Now, nobody knew that at the time, but he is a talent that the internet wrestling fans, I guess this is 94, the hardcore smart marks, man, they absolutely loved what Brian Pillman and Steve Austin and guys like this were doing. But Duggan was the more established star. He had more name at the time, if you will. He was a bigger star. That's just all there is to it. But when he beats him in 35 seconds, and knowing that some of these smart marks don't necessarily like Jim Duggan's style of wrestling or style of matches, this gets hit with a lot of criticism in the reader pages of the Observer and the Torch. How do you remember this creative coming to be? I know Steamboat had to be disappointed that he wasn't able to wrestle, because I can only imagine he and Austin having a great match. I can't imagine that Austin was thrilled with this creative. What do you remember about all that night?
What year was that?
1994. No, I'm sorry, 1995. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. September of 94.
September 94 would probably still be, is it Dusty or Rick? Can't remember. I think it might have been Dusty. Point being, I wasn't involved in creative, so I couldn't tell you, reactions, conversations, what did I hear, because I wasn't involved in the process. Hearing you lay that out and looking at that footage, I'm thinking to myself, I'd like to do that one over again.
You would.
But here's the deal. In that moment in time,
yes,
the facts as you lay them out were absolutely true. And I'll go even further and say, yeah, the dirt sheet smart marks, because there was no internet at the time.
That's right.
There was no other platform. It was all people that read the dirt sheets, whether it was Keller's or dipshits or somebody else's. So that's all there was. And that represented, I don't know, 0.1% of the television audience at the time.
That's fair.
So how did I react to their bullshit? On a visceral level, it pisses me off the same way it does today when I see people print stupid shit, put it out there as fact, and have an adverse impact on the product as a result. I just think that's bad. It starts out bad and it only gets worse as it travels when you put out stupid stuff.
Well, hang on. What's stupid about saying they didn't like it? I mean, their opinion is.
You're asking me my reaction to the dirt sheets and the people that came out and said they didn't like it. My point is.
No. I wasn't asking any of that. I'm asking, was Austin upset? Do you remember there being, take me backstage that night? Like, was there a discussion? Was there any, was an advocate? Hey, well, I don't think we should do this. I think we should. Was there any of that? Or was it just another day at the office?
No, there probably was that. But my point is, it wouldn't have taken place with me. I would not have been involved in those discussions. That wasn't my role. I had zero confidence in my abilities in creative. I certainly didn't want to get in the middle of trying to manage and massage talents issues, because that's a full-time job that only a shrink should have, professionally trained. I didn't want anywhere near that. So I avoided intentionally getting sucked into those conversations as best I could.
So it didn't become something that landed on your lap. There wasn't a problem.
And I might well have been sitting in a truck at the time all this was going on, right? I did have other things that I was focused on that did take up all my time. I just chose to focus on the things that I thought I could make a contribution to and avoid the things that I didn't think I could and put people in charge that could.
Let me ask you this. I know that, I shouldn't say I know. We've heard, that if there were talent in WWE that maybe had a problem with something in creative and they just didn't like it, they weren't a fan of it, that sometimes they would communicate that to the agent, and the agent might suggest, well, you got to go talk to Vince. And so we've heard that there would oftentimes be a line outside of Vince's office waiting to talk to him. So I think it's natural that wrestling fans assume that, hey, Eric may have had similar situations. You're saying, at least in this in this year, in this time period, that did not happen. So my question is, whose office were they lining up in front of? Would that have been something they take to Dusty or Rick, and they make a decision and they know that whether it's Dusty or Rick or whoever, they know you have their back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It would have been. Now, look, here's the other thing that went on in WCW. And another reason why, this is a really good point. I'm not going to mention any names this time because there's no reason to. But there was a common pattern in WCW that I observed when I was a talent, when I was just a potted plant, not a threat to anybody. Friends with very few, not enemies with anybody, but just a potted plant. So you would hear a lot of things that gave you a pretty good idea of how certain aspects of the business operated, right? Well, if one of the things I learned early on is if you're a talent, keep in mind, I'm dressing over here in the corner and there's two guys sitting over here on a bench getting dressed, talking in front of me because he's just a C-string announcer. What does he care? So I'm hearing these conversations, and there's a pattern that existed amongst talent that if you didn't like creative, you didn't want to go to the booker. I'm going to use Dusty in this case. You might not want to go to Dusty because he's going to see through your bullshit. A guy like Dusty will know when you're just trying to serve yourself or whether you've got a better idea for a story. You don't want to go there because you know what the answer is going to be. So you go to somebody that works with Dusty and creative, and you know that person has Dusty's ear. And you'll plead your case there. Well, if you don't get any traction there, you'll go down the line and you'll talk to this person. And you're going to keep talking to people within that sphere until you find a supporter.
Yeah.
And then, as an example, you find someone that says, yeah, Eric, I know that's what you want. I know what Dusty wants to do, Eric, but I agree with you. Yours is probably a better idea. That's what I would do, but I'm not calling that shot. But you're probably right. Talent's going to run off, go do what they want to do, and when they get busted, no, he told me I could. It's this thing. It's fading the heat, right? And the more people you get involved in those conversations, because it's not always like, no, I don't want to support your idea. Go find somebody else. It's not that easy. It's networking. And you keep networking until you get the support or the answer you want, and then you go do it anyway. And you've got a safety net because all these other people were involved in the discussion, and you thought it was okay because you thought they were talking to Dusty. That kind of bullshit went on so much in WCW that when I finally became in charge, I wanted nothing to do with that process. I didn't want anybody to ever go, yeah, but Eric said. So when I say to you, I kept myself out of that process, one, because I didn't really think I had much to contribute. That's a fact. But more importantly, I didn't want to get sucked into the nonsense of what goes on behind the scenes. So I just want to establish that so people understand, well, why were you in charge and you didn't even get involved? I was involved. I just picked my battles.
Don't we all love summer vacation, relaxing, laying out by the pool, barbecues, hitting the beach, doing, well, nothing? Well, how about a summer vacation from your house payments? With SaveWithConrad.com, you can do just that. Reduce your monthly payments by making the equity you built up in your home work for you. You can roll together those high interest rate credit cards into one lower monthly payment and perhaps access some of that newfound equity to turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. And how about this? You get to skip your next 2 house payments. That's right. You won't have to make your June or your July house payment. You're done until August 1st. Go right now to savewithconrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you for free. There's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. And did I mention we're offering a 3-year guarantee right now? That's right. That means if at any point interest rates improve over the next 3 years, you get a free refi. That's right. No new lender fees from us. So you get to save money now without wasting money later when the rates improve on a whole second set of closing costs. Why not go to savewithconrad.com and get a guarantee? Save money now and save money later with your friend in the mortgage business. That's me, Conrad Thompson at savewithconrad.com. Shoot me an email at conrad@savewithconrad.com. Give us a call at 888-425-0105 or get yourself a quick quote. Even talk to a live person right now at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. Let's take a summer vacation from house payments at savewithconrad.com.